The haunted secrets of my grandfather's wooden house. They say walls can't speak, but what if they could creak in your voice, shift when you're not looking, and whisper things meant only for you? This isn't from a book or movie. I lived it 3 different nights, 3 different rooms, all inside my grandfather's old wooden house, and one terrifying thing in common: the wall. It started with a sound, soft like someone breathing inside the wall. The house was old, built long before I was born, and it had always made noises, but this was different. It was almost as if the wall itself was alive, exhaling softly in the dead of night. I was lying in bed when I first heard it. My name, whispered from the cracks. The sound was faint, almost imperceptible, but unmistakable. It sent a chill down my spine. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, a trick of the mind in the silence of the night. Michael. At first I thought it was the wind threading through the boards, but then it came again, closer. The whisper was persistent, almost pleading. I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. It was as if the wall was trying to communicate with me, to tell me something important, clearer. I pressed my ear to the wall. It was warm, like something on the other side was breathing against it. The warmth was unsettling, almost human. I could hear the whisper more clearly now, a soft, rhythmic chant that seemed to echo from deep within the wood. Then one morning I woke to find something carved into the wood, not with a knife, but scratched in from within. The carvings were crude, almost desperate, as if someone or something had been trying to leave a message. I traced the lines with my fingers, feeling the rough edges of the splintered wood. It was my name, gouged, splintered, deep. The sight of it filled me with a sense of dread. Who or what could have done this, and why? The questions swirled in my mind, but the wall remained silent, its secrets hidden within the ancient wood. I knew then that this was just the beginning of something much darker. I started marking the walls with chalk. It was a simple act, but it felt necessary. I needed to know if what I was experiencing was real or just a figment of my imagination. Each night before I went to bed, I would draw a line on the wall. The chalk felt cold and gritty in my hand, a tangible connection to reality in a world that seemed increasingly surreal. Just to prove to myself I wasn't crazy. The first few nights, nothing happened. The lines stayed where I had drawn them, and I began to think that maybe I was overreacting. But then, one morning I woke up and the line had moved. It was subtle, just a few inches, but it was enough to make my heart race. But each night, the lines moved. Sometimes they would shift just a little. Other times they would be almost unrecognizable. It was as if the wall itself was alive, breathing and shifting in the darkness. I started to dread going to sleep, knowing that I would wake up to find the lines in a different place. Sometimes the wall was closer to my bed than it had been before. I could feel it looming over me as I slept, a silent, oppressive presence. Other times it seemed to retreat, as if it was playing some kind of twisted game with me. Other times it had changed shape entirely. The once familiar contours of the room would be altered, the angles and lines all wrong. It was disorienting, like stepping into a funhouse mirror version of my own home. I set up an old camera one night, just to catch the truth. I needed proof, something concrete that I could show to someone else. The camera was ancient, a relic from another time, but it still worked. I positioned it carefully, making sure it had a clear view of the wall. At exactly 2:11 a.m., something stepped out of the wall. I watched the footage the next morning, my hands shaking. There it was, a dark figure emerging from the wall, its movements slow and deliberate. It was like watching a nightmare come to life. It had my height, my shape, but not my face. The face was wrong, twisted and distorted, like a reflection in a broken mirror. It was me, but it wasn't me. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized that this thing, whatever it was, had been watching me. Now, every morning, I find dirt on the floor and bark. It's as if the wall is bleeding, shedding pieces of itself into my room. The dirt is dark and rich, the kind you would find deep in the forest. The bark is rough and splintered, like it's been torn from the inside of a tree. The kind from inside trees. I don't know what it means, but I can't shake the feeling that the wall is trying to tell me something, or maybe it's trying to warn me. Either way, I know one thing for sure. I'm not alone in this house. My grandfather told me never to open the east wall. He was a man of few words, but when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of generations. His eyes, usually soft and kind, would harden whenever he mentioned the east wall. It was as if he was reliving a memory too painful to share. I was young and curious, and his warnings only fueled my desire to uncover the secrets hidden behind that wall. Said it was sealed before the war. I didn't listen. The wall had always been there, a silent guardian of its own mysteries. It was sealed with thick wooden panels, nailed shut with rusted iron nails that seemed to whisper tales of the past. I often found myself staring at it, wondering what could be so dangerous or important that it had to be hidden away. One stormy night, driven by a mix of boredom and defiance, I decided to pry it open. Behind it was a room no one had seen for decades, walls lined with old wooden panels covered in drawings. The air was thick with dust, and the room smelled of age and forgotten memories. It was like stepping into a time capsule, untouched by the world outside. The drawings on the walls were crude but captivating, each one telling a story of its own. They were layered, as if generations of children had added their own marks over the years. They looked like child's art, smiling faces, stick figures, and the simplicity of the drawings was both charming and unsettling. There were scenes of children playing, families gathered around tables, and animals frolicking in fields. But there was something off about them, a sense of unease that I couldn't quite put my finger on. It was as if the drawings were trying to tell me something, to warn me of something lurking beneath the surface. But one drawing stood out. It was different from the rest, more detailed and lifelike. It seemed to pulse with a strange energy, drawing me closer. I felt a chill run down my spine as I examined it, my breath catching in my throat. It was as if the drawing was alive, watching me with eyes that seemed to follow my every move. It was of me, same clothes, same hair. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. How could this be? I had never been in this room before, and yet there I was, captured in a drawing that looked like it had been there for years. My mind raced with questions, but there were no answers to be found. The drawing was eerily accurate, down to the smallest detail. Same scar on my chin. I traced the scar on my own chin with trembling fingers, my heart pounding in my chest. This was no coincidence. Someone or something had drawn me, and they knew me intimately. The implications were terrifying. I felt a sense of dread wash over me, as if I had just uncovered a secret that was never meant to be found. After that, I started dreaming of the house, but older, smaller. The dreams were vivid and unsettling, filled with images of the house in its earlier days. It was as if I was being transported back in time, witnessing events that had long since passed. The house was smaller, more cramped, and filled with the sounds of laughter and footsteps. I could hear voices, faint and distant, whispering secrets that I couldn't quite make out. The drawings on the wall would change with each visit. In my dreams, the drawings seemed to come to life, shifting and evolving before my eyes. New figures would appear, old ones would fade away, and the scenes would change as if they were telling a story that was still unfolding. It was both fascinating and horrifying, a living tapestry of memories and nightmares, and the one of me would be closer every time. Each time I visited the room in my dreams, the drawing of me would be in a different position, always closer than before. It was as if it was trying to reach out to me, to pull me into its world. The closer it got, the more detailed it became, until I could see every line and shadow, every nuance of expression. It was like looking into a mirror, but one that reflected a darker, more twisted version of myself. Now I don't sleep in the house. The dreams became too much to bear, and I found myself avoiding the house altogether. It was no longer a place of comfort and safety, but a prison of my own making. The walls seemed to close in on me, the air thick with the weight of unspoken secrets. I couldn't escape the feeling that I was being watched, that the house itself was alive and aware of my presence. I hear laughter in the beams. The laughter was the worst part. It was high-pitched and childlike, echoing through the empty halls and rooms. It would start softly, almost imperceptibly, and then grow louder and more insistent. It was as if the house was mocking me, taunting me with the knowledge that I could never truly escape its grasp. I see fingers between the floorboards. The fingers were thin and pale, like those of a child. They would appear between the cracks in the floorboards, reaching out as if trying to grab hold of me. I would wake up in a cold sweat, my heart racing, convinced that they were real. The line between dream and reality began to blur, and I could no longer tell what was real and what was a figment of my imagination. Wherever I go, the wall follows. It's as if the house has a hold on me, a grip that I can't break free from. No matter where I go, I can feel its presence, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to pull me back in. The wall is always there, a constant reminder of the secrets I uncovered and the price I must pay for my curiosity, and the drawing of me keeps smiling. That smile haunts me. It's a smile that holds no warmth, no joy, only a cold, malevolent intent. It's a smile that knows too much, that sees too much. It's a smile that reminds me that some secrets are better left buried and some walls are better left unopened. They say we build walls to protect ourselves, but sometimes we're the ones locked inside.